gentlemen. Welcome to the Candle Development YouTube channel, and today is going to be our very first tutorial. We're going to be showcasing how you can create a character and get it to move, and some basic platforming mechanics. So let us hop on right in. We can go ahead and make a new project named tutorial, and my viewport size is 950 by 500, but you can do whatever you want. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add in a sprite. Now this is going to be our player, so we're going to go down here to name and go ahead and type in player in this little bar, and you can press insert or you can press enter on your keyboard. I just use the shortcut that is enter, and we don't need all of this space, so we're going to go ahead and change this to 16 by 16. We're just going to go ahead and create just a little square here. Now you can use the square tool or you can just draw it by hand. I recommend the square tool though. But if you are using the square tool, make sure it's set to no fill and border, and the border thickness is 1. That's how you will get that same effect. You can fill it with whatever color you want, but if you have it how I have it, you want to go ahead and guess the polygon shape, which will just set it right back to the square itself. Now if you have a more complex character with more vertices or angles, this won't always be very accurate, so make sure you edit it. If you do, use the guess polygon shape function. But this is good for now, so we're going to go ahead and just leave that be. We can go ahead and edit its size since it's relatively small, but you might get this fogginess here, this blurry effect, and how to fix that is you want to go in here, you want to resize it to something large, like 128 by 128. Make sure this is set to stretch when you do that, or else it won't do the same thing. And then you want to scale it to the correct proportions from the editor, so I'm going to set it to 64 by 64, and it is a much more refined look. Add in the behavior that is platform. Now we are going to edit this. This won't just be the only way that we're going to use platform, but now it is time to add in our blocks. Now instead of a sprite, recommend using a tiled background, since we're going to have a lot of blocks on the screen at the same time. This will really reduce the lag if you have a larger game. So we're just gonna go ahead and rename this to block down here, and we're going to just put it in our layout somewhere. Scale this down to 16 by 16. And go ahead and make another square here, and I'm just gonna have a thick outline for mine, and make sure it is covering your whole layout, or else it won't print and be right next to each other the whole time. This is a pretty good example. This is a pretty good example for a 16 by 16 block. If you want to, you can save this pixel art right here. You can save it in any sort of file that you want to. Now I am going to blur all this because it's personal information, but you just do Control S for that shortcut, and yeah. So we can go ahead and drag this around. Now if it is too small, like it is right there, also you might want to go ahead and set snap to grid on so it snaps. But if it is too small, like it is here, you want to go ahead and resize it up to 64 by 64. Holy crap. Okay. Now you might ask yourself, Candle, what is the difference between a sprite and a tiled background? Well, a tiled background, it repeats. It doesn't just stretch like a sprite would. As you can see, it will just stretch. Yeah. Well, we will just take our sprite and hold on. So we're going to go ahead and you might want to Control S at this point, or you can click on this little icon right here. But you want to go ahead and add in the name here, and I'm just gonna add this as tutorial series. Now you don't need to save this in any sort of place really, because once you go to the start page in Construct 3, all of your recent projects will be right here. I do recommend downloading the app for this. You can find this in the Microsoft Store, or you can download it from the web page. Double click on the background to create a new object type. We want to go ahead and add in a keyboard, and we can just leave that name as it is because it's, well, it's the keyboard. And you want to go ahead and add a keyboard event. Now you can do that by just pressing this over here, and you're going to go ahead and double click on keyboard, and then double click on key pressed. And then once you click this box, you press a key and it will choose that key. And it's way easier if you do Control C and then Control V to duplicate the whole thing. Make sure you're clicking right here so it duplicates the entire event though. But we actually want to change this to keys down, and we want to change this to A. Two different events. Okay, we're going to edit this and change this to D. Okay, this is what your event sheet should look at right now, or look like right now. So on the first event, we're going to add an action, player. We're going to scroll down and simulate control, which is at the end of platform. You can just look it up in this if you want to, and you can go ahead and double click on that, and we're gonna set the control to jump. Now I'm just gonna Control C, and then click on the whole event, Control V, click on the whole event, Control V, and we're just going to change this to left and change this to right. If you playtest it right now, you'll just fall through the ground, and we don't want that. So we're gonna go over here to block, add a behavior solid. I'm going to go ahead and press F5, which just plays the game. I am going to close my Discord though, because we might run into issues if I don't have the greatest PC, but I will be getting a better one for recording purposes soon. So you can press F4 or F5 to start up your game. Now, as you can see, W, A, and D move our character. You can also use arrow keys though, which we're going to change that right now. Uncheck default controls. This will help out a lot. You can also edit all of your platform values right here, but this is pretty easy. We're going to go ahead and add some lighting. So we're just going to go ahead in here and then go and add darkness. Now you right click on the layout area, the layout tab, and add layer at top, and then rename this to darkness. Now you're going to click on the darkness layer, uncheck transparent, go to the background color, click on the color, and then drag it all the way down to the left or right corner. We're going to change this opacity to something very low, but this just depends on how bright or not bright your game is. A lot of my games take place in dungeons though, so as you can see, it just puts a darkness tint over this. Add another tiled background name light. I'm going to go ahead and just add that in. Now we aren't going to scale this down. Instead, brush tool right here. You're going to edit all of these to be the same as mine. So that just means size 200, hardness 0, and opacity 0.5. Next, you want to go over here and go into black. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect, but just make sure it's generally in the center. And now you just want to leave that. And I'm going to click on our light. We're going to go into blend mode. We're going to change this to destination out. So we can go ahead and actually scale this down. You actually want it to be bigger than all of your objects, because this is kind of like a spotlight. So we're actually just gonna change this one more time to 128. This is 2 times the size as all of our characters so far. Here we go. As you can see, if we go into darkness and actually up the opacity, 60, there's a little spotlight here. You don't have to up the opacity, but it is just better for seeing. So I'm actually going to go ahead and reduce this down to 40. Next thing we're going to do is actually take this light off of our player, and then we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to name this player light. Okay, you're going to grab your player light. If you accidentally mix them up, you can click on them and look at the name right here. We can go ahead and add a new event, go into System. We're going to go ahead and click on Start of Layout. I'm going to add an action. We're going to click on Player, scroll down to the hierarchy, add a child. Don't worry about any of this. I know it seems scary, but just don't worry about any of it. We're going to go to Player Light, where it says Child, and Add. We're just going to click on this, Add Player Light. As you can see, the little spotlight follows our player. So he's always highlighted no matter what. I'm going to uncheck darkness real quick. I'm going to go into my player, add a behavior, and I'm going to add the bound to layout, add a new behavior, scroll to, and that's all of them done. Now we can go ahead and create some lights. So I'm just going to name this light. Wait, no, this is going to be light image, or IMG for short. And we're going to make this pretty small, 16 by 16. We're gonna just grab a yellow color and just using the fill tool, or F, you can just press and it'll fill the whole circle for you. Now I like to give all of my things an outline, so I'm just gonna lower this a little bit and then drag the square tool over it like that. Reduce this to 16 by 16. And make sure the layer right here is layer 0. You can just go ahead and duplicate this using Control and drag with your mouse. Yeah, we actually need an offset, or we need to lower the grid to 16 by 16. Let me go ahead and add an offset for the grid. 8 offset. There we go, now it is fixed. Now if you want to, I'm going to go ahead and save, and I'm going to go ahead and set the grid back to the grid offset back to 0. I'm going to drag over all of these, right click on any of them, and then just go down here to lock and lock selection. That will lock all of these, so that if you press it, it won't drag them anywhere. And that is it for today's tutorial. Next tutorial will be collectibles and a score system. So make sure you stay tuned for that, and make sure you go ahead and save. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.